What's up, brother? How you doing? How's your day going?
I'm good, man. It's been good so far.
Good.
Definitely in the spirit of this episode, woke up feeling extremely grateful. And so I've been following the breadcrumbs you put down for me on morning daily practice. And dude, it just brightens the whole
What, you've
day,
been
man.
saying thank you as soon as you wake up? Is that what you're talking about?
First thing, I lay in bed and I honestly say it feels so fucking good to lay in bed. And like, just like that, I'm like, I'm grateful for just my present state. Though then I got to make sure that doesn't keep me in bed. But the waking up, just waking up that morning is like great. Being in a comfortable bed in America with like a full day of challenging activities ahead of me, like my entire day is framed in this brighter light than historically I think I've
Dude, how
experienced.
powerful is it? By the way, everybody, so today's episode is going to be about gratitude, how important it is, how to become more grateful, what type of effects you will have in your life when you become more grateful, all things about gratitude. And just to go off of what you started with, how powerful is it to wake up and have your first thought in the morning be, I'm so grateful to have woken up? People talk about this all the time, like it's a cliche, be thankful that you woke up. But how powerful is it when you wake up and without even having to think about it because you've been doing it for a consistent period of time, your first thought is, I'm so grateful to be alive. Instead of, oh, I have to do this, or did I get a good night's sleep? It's just pure gratitude for being alive in this moment. It's a really powerful shift in your life when you get to the point that you just wake up in the morning automatically grateful for waking up. It's a difficult thing to do, but how powerful is it? Like, you seem like you feel great after doing it, but I just know from personal experience, like, dude, it's one of the most powerful things in the world for setting your day up for success.
I've got a couple of tactical things that even happened this morning after the practice that highlighted just how impactful it is. I woke up and I was looking for some medication and I thought that I lost it. And like in a normal circumstance, I would just be pissed and irritated because I got to get prepped for this podcast and I got to get ready for my morning. But instead of that, it gave me, because I was in this state of gratitude, it gave me this space to take a breath, recognize that the issue was one that was not nearly as big or important as I thought it was or would have thought it was in the past. And then with that, I ended up calming down and finding it pretty quickly. Like versus I think in a past version of myself, I get frazzled and the kitchen would have been torn apart before I fucking found it. And that would have caused the rest of my day to be this like spiral of stress. Well, I was stressed about that. Now I got to get to another thing that came up, which is like a potential client of ours is, has an issue that I got to go tackle later this morning. And again, that used to probably come from a place of stress and like would continue to impact my day in a negative way. But now I feel going to that meeting like I can't lose because I already won today. And like just waking up was this win. And so going to this call, I already know it's going to go better because I'm feeling better. And so now it's like I've got this cycle of like gratitude. Like I'm already grateful for this call going well. I haven't even had it yet. So whatever it was, you were absolutely right. Doing it first thing in the morning, like unlocks, it's like dominoes for the
So you're
rest of
saying
your
about
day.
like the medicine, if you lost it, you can't find it. Normally it would cause you to go into a frenzy. But I like what you said here, how gratitude is the antidote for negative emotions, for fear, anger, stress, sadness. And in a normal time where you don't have gratitude, you don't wake up like that, losing the medicine may cause you to go into a frenzy. In my example, I'll break a glass and then all of a sudden I'll, get stressed out and then I'll spill something else because I'm in a frenzy or whatever. But the difference is when you are in that constant state of gratitude, instead of breaking the glass and going into some sort of frenzy where it causes me to spill something else and cause more damage or whatever it is, in that moment, I'm able to have the awareness of this is an opportunity for me to slow down, be grateful that I even have running water to wash dishes that I can break, that I even have a dish. Like, it's just such a different. Some people listening to this are going to be like, you're crazy. Just be grateful you have a dish. Yes, being grateful that I have a dish. Like, it's just such a different mindset to have than being in the mindset of, I broke this dish. Now I'm all pissed off. Now I'm going to spill this glass. Now I'm going to, do this other thing or whatever. To be able to step back and be aware of the scenario you're in, that it's not a big deal and that you should just be grateful in general that you even have the opportunity to break that glass. And I don't know, it's just a crazy mindset shift that is such a simple thing to do if you have the consistency to do it. And I'm excited to talk about that today.
So I think you hit on an important key concept of why gratitude is so powerful. And it's that I don't think it's possible to have joy in your life without having gratitude first. And so it doesn't matter how good or how bad your life is, which are relative terms. If you don't have gratitude first, you're not going to get joy out of any of them. And so I think an important perspective of gratitude as it pertains to all mindset is this is foundational. This is table stakes. The rest of the mindset that we're going to talk about building throughout the next 1,000 episodes on this show, none of it works if you don't build a foundation of gratitude for yourself. If you can't feel grateful about the dish, you're not going to feel grateful about the $100 million in your bank account. And so I think that, I can't stress enough that we believe this is a foundational piece of building a mindset for yourself to make your life as fulfilling as possible.
And to go off of that, one of the things you said is people with a scarcity mindset focus on unfulfilled needs. Whereas, with when you're in a grateful mindset, you're not focusing on the things that you don't have that you want. You're focusing on all of the things that you currently have in your life that bring you joy, which is why it creates joy. Because if you can wake up in the morning, just real quick example, I used to wake up every single morning and have major anxiety about what I had to do for that day. The first thought in my head when I woke up is, I have to do this, 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 and it drove me freaking insane. Whereas now I wake up and instead of thinking about any of that, I don't think about any of that for the first hour of my day, hour and a half, to be honest with you. What I think about when I first wake up is what we said. I'm grateful to have a bed. I'm grateful to have an amazing wife. I'm grateful that both my parents are alive. I'm grateful that I have running freaking water. I'm grateful that I have all of my limbs. Like, one of the best ways that I overcame my depression was by watching podcasts, not listening, watching on YouTube podcasts of people who are in much more unfortunate situations, I guess, that I would say, than me. But in their case, maybe it's fortunate because they make such an impact around the world. But to give you an example of that, one of my favorite people to watch is this guy, Nick Santo. He was born, Nick Santostasso. He was born with no arms and no legs, or one arm and no legs. And he always has the most positive mindset in the world. And he talks about the opportunity that being born in that body has given him to create an impact in the world. And when you listen to somebody like that talk about gratitude and focusing on the things they have in their life versus they don't have in their life, it makes my problems feel like absolutely nothing. And when I focus on the fact that I do have my arms and legs, the fact that I do have running water, all the other desires and things that give me anxiety about not fulfilling in my life completely go away. It is not possible to have all of those negative emotions at the same time that you're feeling all of this gratitude. And I think that's a super important foundational piece to this. Whereas if you want to feel better all the time, if you want to develop a better mindset, if you want to develop discipline, if you want to be fulfilled, without gratitude, you cannot have any of those things because you will be focused on what you still want to achieve or attain versus what you already have. So I just went on a little rant there, but it was a major pivotal moment for me in my life to be able to focus on just having arms and legs is something to be incredibly grateful for.
Dude, that gave me chills, bro. When you put it in that perspective, you start to feel your own excuses for why this can't work slip away. And so I I think an important thing you touched on, and if we can touch on the psychology of this, I think an important thing you touched on is one, you literally can't feel negative emotions when you're actively in a state of gratitude. And so when we think about this, if you purely think about this as a tool for living a better life, there are few that are more effective. If you are feeling a negative emotion, you can crowd out that negative emotion with gratitude. And so it takes it from like this, potentially call it like hoo-ha concept to like, no, this is literal tactical practice that you can use to change your internal state and change how you're going to react to a situation. And I think there's a couple other things to touch on, like literal benefits of gratitude that I think are worth calling out, so that it's not just you and I talking about why we think these things are so great. There's actual physical benefits that we can talk about that come from gratitude. One of them I thought was super interesting was you legitimately get better sleep if you are living in a state of gratitude. There's a study that was put out by the National Library of Medicine that touches on, if you practice gratitude before you go to sleep, the states of sleep that you go into are deeper and better than if like the group of people who hadn't. And so when you think about the power that unlocks for you, not just in like the moment to moment basis, but if you can look on this on like a longer duration, you're literally going to improve your physical health.
I believe that.
The other things that got mentioned,
100% better sleep. I believe that.
I'm sure you've experienced it, right? Like, but as we've gone on this mindset journey, I've personally looked for like, where are things, mindset as just a concept without grounding can be tough for people to wrap their head around. Like, what is the point of this? Like, it's hard to beat down the negative thoughts. But when you start to like really look at, there are tangible physical benefits of gratitude, it starts to get hard to refute the fact that this is a intensely powerful medicine that you can use for yourself on a daily basis. And so I think it's important to just take even personal experience and then the fact that there is studies out here on the fact that this improves physical health, that the case is made for gratitude.
What other benefits are there? There's better sleep. There's I know you looked this up a little bit.
Yeah, so it's better sleep, heart health, which was a function of better sleep, more drive to exercise. There was a study out of UC Davis. And so when you're in a state of gratitude, like the control group versus the people actively practicing gratitude, they look to work out more. Lower blood pressure, which I think just makes sense in general, because if you can manage your stress levels better than you could in a stressed state, you're probably going to bring your blood pressure down. And then healthier relationships, which that wasn't necessarily like a true physical benefit, but it intrinsically makes sense that if you're in a state of gratitude, appreciating other people and the impact that they're having on their lives, like that naturally is going to cycle into better relationships that you have.
I like the one about more drive to exercise too. I mean, I like all of them, but it's so true, because if you're not in a state of gratitude, it's a whole lot easier to make excuses for yourself. Versus if you're in that state of gratitude, it's hard to make those excuses for yourself, because part of being grateful is having the opportunity to go work out or to do any of these things. So yeah, I'm happy you covered the physical benefits, because it's true. It's super important. Yes, maybe some people think practicing gratitude, having a gratitude journal is hokey pokey, but it's really not, because yes, it improves your fulfillment. Yes, it improves your happiness. Yes, you will start to wake up in thoughts of gratitude rather than anxiety. But also, who doesn't want to sleep their best? Who doesn't want to have a better relationship? Who doesn't want to have a healthier, blood pressure level? I mean, all these things are real, like you said, real tangible things that come from practicing this. But one of the other things that you said that I thought was honestly one of the best things ever said is gratitude is a cure for the uncontrollable. One of the things we always talk about is control the controllables. Do the things that you can to live the best version of yourself. But what about the things that you can't control, right? I know that I was talking to you about this earlier, but one example that I want to give, because I every time I talk about gratitude, somebody says this, right? Well, how can you be grateful for the worst moments in your life? How can you be grateful if, I had a friend whose son died of cancer. How can my friend be grateful that his son died of cancer? Well, he's not necessarily grateful that his son died of cancer. It's the worst thing that will ever happen to you in your entire life. It's going to be hard to find happiness in that. But there's certain ways to look at things, right? He can view that as the worst moment that's ever happened to his life and replay that over and over and over and let it ruin the rest of his life, do absolutely nothing with the rest of his life except think negative thoughts in his head repeatedly. Or he can find gratitude in certain things around that situation, like losing my son to cancer made me realize that I need to be more present and see the people I love more often. It made me realize that the things I thought were important aren't important anymore. There's always something that you can view. And maybe now that person takes those principles that they learned throughout the worst moment they've ever experienced in their lives. And now they go on and help other people who are in the exact same scenario as them. So by having two different choices of how to look at this outcome, one, you can go down the route of just constantly having negative thoughts for the rest of your life, just being in a cycle of depression. Or you can find something in there that you're grateful for, make some sort of purpose out of it, and create an impact that the world needs. The world needs positive impact from people who have gone through massive adversity. And by you going through massive adversity, that could be something that alone you could be grateful for, because now you have the opportunity to help people that a lot of people don't have. And I just wanted to bring that up because there's always somebody that says, well, what about these horrible situations? Yes, it's the worst thing you'll ever go through in your entire life. But at the end of the day, there's still two ways to view it. And what you're going to do with that adversity is what determines how you're going to feel every single day when you wake up.
Dude, you put that so eloquently. Like, if you can't recognize the power in gratitude when you are rooted in the worst situation in your life and it can pull you out of that and create meaning, that was just an excellent explanation of, like, in my opinion, that's probably the most powerful use case, period. And if you figure that everyone in their life at some point in time you're going to lose a loved one, whether it's your parents or somebody else, something tragic is going to happen. And being prepared for those moments looks like practicing gratitude and being ready to take the most negative experiences in life and turning them into not necessarily that specific thing into a positive experience, but all of your response and reaction to it into positive, life-giving force that pulls you forward and allows you to feel joy in the future out of that moment. I also think that thinking about it from I think what you just described was probably like the most, like, how do I put this? It's the most intense version of like using gratitude to cure the uncontrollable. I think you can also think about it as like, if you want to be a juggernaut in your daily life, and I think about this as just like, no matter what happens to you, all the little things, you just bust through them and they bounce off you. Like you are the freight train that can't be stopped. Gratitude is the tool to do that. Like someone talks shit to you, you have a bad meeting, you get in a fight with a loved one. Like if you can use gratitude to push through all of those experiences and quickly rebound, and instead of responding negatively or letting them ruin the rest of your day or how you're perceiving life, that is this huge tool for you to actually perform at your highest level at all times, because you're essentially anti-fragile in a state of gratitude. And then it also just allows you to live a life that you're consistently in a state of feeling good. So it benefits you from like a personal... It benefits you from feeling good, which is something that I think that's a state everyone is trying to achieve at all times. But it also benefits you from a performance aspect, because if you're in a state of gratitude and you're responding to things in a way that your internal state is calm, collected, positive, you're going to have better outcomes over the long term. And so I think gratitude builds compounding interest and wins in your life because you respond to things in a better
Yeah,
way.
it goes back to, dude, what you're saying right now goes back to what I was saying even earlier about the drive to exercise. Like, when you are in a state of gratitude, you don't want to procrastinate. You don't want to sit off on these opportunities. You don't want to wait on the things that you have to do. You, in that state of gratitude, you're grateful that you have the opportunity. You want to seize it in that moment. And it totally compounds into every other area of your life, which that's going to be a common theme among our podcast. Is pretty much everything that we're going to be talking about compounds into multiple areas of your life. But this is such a foundational one because without gratitude, there is no joy. And we all want to have joyful lives. So speaking of that, I know we've talked about this before, but I'm curious. So you said you've started practicing gratitude. What does that practice look like for you as of now, as of recent, like since you just started?
Yep. So, and I'll say I got this from you, Josh Jacobs, the godfather of gratitude. It is quite literally the first thing I do when I wake up is start firing off things that I'm grateful for. Most specifically, just waking up in that bed. There's a million things to be grateful for. I just woke up. There's comfort in the bed. I've got an entire morning filled with activities that I generally find pleasure in, drinking a coffee, drinking ketones, reading a book. And so I'm in the process of training, and I'd say that it's going well because I've now noticed when I wake up, it's like before my feet even touch the floor, I am just cycling through different things that I can be grateful for. And in reality, there's no limit and nothing specific that I need to plan for. Like even the night before, I can just wake up and start attaching grateful meaning to the things that I'm going to be doing during the day or what's happening to me in that moment, like breathing. And so it completely has changed the frame with which I approach my mornings, which ultimately has then changed the frame for how the rest of my day goes. And so I think I'll add one key thing, and you've mentioned this, and it helps immensely with staying focused on gratitude for as long as possible in the morning, is staying away from my phone as long as possible, which at this point I think is a half hour to start the morning so that I can sit with my grateful thoughts instead of responding to daily chaos that would try to pull me out of that.
That's awesome. And the cool thing about that too is, first of all, thanks for saying that. But I actually got this from I went on this guy David Meltzer show. He's an absolute legend. If you've watching this, you probably know who David Meltzer is. And he said, you got to practice gratitude every single day. He said 2 minutes a day is better than 2 hours on a Saturday, which really resonated with me because I could do anything for 2 minutes. Like anything, right? So when he said that, he's like, look, if I tell 100 people in a room to say thank you when they wake up every morning and when they go to sleep every night, after the first day, half of them won't do it anymore. After the first 2 weeks, 90% of them won't do it anymore. After the 30 days, only one of them is still saying thank you. And I said, I'm going to be that motherfucker. Like, I am going to be consistent and I'm going to see if this works for me. This is years ago when I was in this bad place. And it was like, as I was coming out of this bad place, that's how I was able to get on his show. And from that day forward, have literally done this every single day. And now I could be going through something really difficult. But as I stated in the beginning of the show, the first thought that I have when I open my eyes now, because I've been doing this for 2 years consistently, is I'm so grateful to be alive, not gotten woken up by a call from some tragic news in the middle of the night, be breathing, have running water, and have all my limbs. Those are literally the first 5 thoughts every single morning that I have now. And sometimes it goes deeper than that. Sometimes I'm super grateful for something specific that happens. But at the end of the day, I'm always grateful for something. No matter what is going on in my life, it could be the worst possible time in my career. It could be the worst possible time in my relationship. I could be going through a fight with my parent. I don't know what it is. I'm just making shit up at this point. But at the end of the day, I will always be grateful to have running water, to be breathing, to have all my limbs, or the basics in my life that I have and I no matter what. I'm not reaching for some, I'm not just sitting there thinking about what I don't have, which is a very common problem among depressed people, is we just sit there thinking about how we want our life to look versus how our life looks now. And I'm telling you, it was single-handedly probably the best thing that I ever started doing to have this positive mindset all the time. It's just those 2 minutes. It's so easy. So I think that's super important to touch on, is it's 2 minutes. Like, for those of you listening, if you want to wake up grateful every day without having to think about it, like I was saying before, the most powerful thing in the world is waking up and having that thought automatically come to you without you having to even do anything. If you want to live that life, which I hope you do, because it's the best life you could possibly live, to wake up in a state of gratitude, 2 minutes in the morning when you wake up, 2 minutes at night before you go to sleep. Just, you don't even have to write it down. Writing it down is super powerful, but you don't even have to write it down. Just say it. Just say it to yourself. You could say it in your head. I like to say it out loud, but I just whisper it because my wife's usually sleeping when I wake up in the morning. But it's like, I'm grateful to have running water. I'm grateful to have all my limbs. I literally say it like that quietly, and just to myself in bed. That's what I highly encourage you to try doing. Saying it saying thank you for as many things as you can when you first wake up, and saying thank you for as many things as you can when you first go to sleep. It's probably the easiest possible thing that you can ever add into your routine. I'm not asking you to go do push-ups. I'm not asking you to do burpees. I'm not asking you to go read a book. I'm just saying, say thank you for 2 freaking minutes. You know what I mean? It's such an easy thing to add to your daily routine that changes your whole goddamn life. So I can't say it enough. I'm getting fired up.
Dude, that's extremely powerful to hear your perspective on it. And I think, at least for me, I want to say thank you for being vulnerable and discussing the fact that this is a tool that you use to get out of depression. Because I think, I don't know, I'm not speaking from personal experience, but I think there's probably a sense of shame that could accumulate around depression in general. And so I appreciate you bringing that to light on this show. And then also, I think it makes it that much more powerful to hear from you on how this is legitimately a tool to pull yourself
just to
out
give
of
you,
holes
just to
like
go off
that.
of what you're saying, bro. I literally, it's making me emotional even thinking about it. For literally a year, I woke up every morning on the verge of tears. Like, I wasn't even this depressed when I was a drug addict in high school. I just went through something fucking crazy. And this changed everything for me. 2 minutes made me go from waking up on the verge of fucking tears every morning for a year to, like, I feel so grateful in every single moment. No matter what is happening, I just feel this state of gratitude. And I just can't speak about it enough. So thank you for saying that, because it really is that powerful. And there's a lot of people who have gone through way worse situations than me, but it's the same foundational theory that focusing on the things that you have in your life that bring you joy is going to compound into other areas of your life, and focusing on the opportunities you have versus what you wish you had. So yeah, man, I'm happy you're doing it.
Dude, I think this is a perfect place to close. I'm not sure we can hit this topic any harder than you just hit it. And I think the important takeaway for this pod is spend the 2 minutes a day in the morning on what you're grateful for, and do it for a week. Don't stop for a week, and reflect on the impact that that's having on your life, because I think the power of small practice plus consistency has clearly yielded incredible results for you. And so we would implore the audience on this show to do the same.
You heard it there. Thank you, everybody, for listening, watching. Please subscribe, leave a comment, tell us what you like, what you don't like. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the next episode.